Every woman knows one thing. As long as she controls the emotional tone, she controls the truth. That's why so many men walk away from conversations confused, guilty, or silenced, without ever discovering what actually happened. But the moment you stop reacting to her emotion and start questioning her structure, everything shifts. There are 6 questions, sharp, calm, impossible to dodge, that pull the truth out from under any emotional performance. Ask them, and suddenly her confidence breaks, her timeline stumbles, her motive reveals itself. The truth stops being optional. If you're tired of feeling manipulated, tired of guessing, tired of losing ground, you're about to learn the 6 questions that expose everything she hoped you wouldn't notice. What I'm about to teach you isn't theory. It's what I've watched play out in real relationships, over and over, the patterns women rely on, the blind spots men don't see, and the psychological leverage hidden beneath emotional tone. I'm giving you the blueprint, not as an outsider, but as someone who has lived on the inside of this dynamic and knows exactly how the game works. If you value insight from someone who understands both sides, like the video and subscribe. Now let me show you the first question that strips away the emotional veil and forces the truth to stand on its own. Number 1. Can you walk me through it step by step? A man gets blindsided, not because the lie was brilliant, but because the question he asked allowed it to breathe. When you ask a woman, "So what happened?" you're giving her an open field, wide, unstructured, and perfect for emotional storytelling. And trust me, emotional storytelling is where most women shine. But when you ask her to walk you through it step by step, you're not asking for a performance, you're asking for a timeline. And no lie survives a timeline. A real experience has structure, it has edges, it has emotional fingerprints that match the sequence of events. A lie, on the other hand, is stitched together by convenience, not memory. That's why this question is the first psychological trap. It forces her out of emotion and into logic, a place where fabricated stories crumble fast. Here's what happens when a woman is hiding something. She'll try to fast forward. She'll jump from the beginning to the ending like she's skipping chapters in a book. She'll gloss over the transition scenes, the moments she didn't rehearse. That's your first crack. Truth moves slowly. Lies sprint. Then comes the hesitation. She'll speak smoothly through the parts she prepared, but the moment she hits an unplanned transition, where she has to recall what she supposedly did next, you'll hear it. The verbal stutter, the sudden pause, That hesitation isn't confusion, it's construction. Watch the emotional mismatch too. Women remember how they felt at each step of an experience. If she can't match an emotion to the moment she's describing, something's off. Maybe her tone is too calm for a moment that should have been tense. Maybe she's suddenly emotional in a moment that should have been neutral. When the feeling and the timeline don't align, the story's integrity collapses. And then there are the borrowed details, the overly specific descriptions that feel like they came from someone else's story, not hers. Details added for decoration rather than authenticity. Let me give you a picture. A man once asked his girlfriend why she got home late from a quick dinner with co-workers. When he asked what happened, she delivered a flawless narrative, smooth, emotional, believable. But when he asked for the timeline, everything shifted. She rushed through the middle. She couldn't remember whether she paid or someone else did. Her emotions didn't match the moment she claimed she felt awkward. And 2 days later, she suddenly remembered a conversation she conveniently forgot earlier. He didn't catch the lie because he was smart. He caught it because he created structure. A lie can survive emotion. It cannot survive structure. Number 2. What made you do it that way? Most men think the story exposes the lie. It doesn't. The motive does. A woman can recount an event with flawless emotional detail because emotions are her native language. But when you ask her why she chose a certain action, the reasoning behind it, that's when the ground under her feet starts to shake. A truthful woman answers instantly. Her motive is tied to the memory. She didn't rehearse it, she lived it. There's no gap between the action and the internal logic that drove it. But a woman who's hiding something? She'll reach for the safest, cleanest explanation she can craft in the moment. Something that sounds responsible, not something that reflects what truly happened. So pay attention to the non-reasons. You'll hear them disguised as casual statements. It just happened. I didn't think much about it. It wasn't that deep. Those aren't motives. Those are escape hatches. A person acting in the real world always has a reason. Good, bad, emotional, impulsive, but still a reason. When she can't give you one, or refuses to, she's signaling that the truth doesn't fit the image she wants to present. Then comes the delay. A liar builds while she speaks. She's scanning for the version that sounds safest. That pause isn't reflection. It's construction. And the longer the pause, the bigger the gap between what she did and what she wants you to believe. Over-explaining is another red flag. When she suddenly turns into a motivational speaker, giving you her childhood, her co-worker drama, her entire emotional landscape, she's not explaining the motive. She's stuffing the silence because silence exposes her. Truth is concise. Lies are padded. Watch for borrowed blame, too. A woman hiding her true intent rarely takes responsibility. She'll externalize everything. My friend pressured me. Work was stressful. You weren't communicating. She spreads accountability around like confetti, hoping you won't notice the part she carefully removed, her actual reason. Here's a scenario men overlook. A guy once asked his girlfriend why she decided to ride home with a male co-worker instead of taking her car as usual. Her story was airtight. Flat tire, long day, helpful co-worker. When he asked, "Why didn't you call me?" she froze for half a second. Then came the justification monologue. She didn't want to bother him. Her phone was dying. She didn't think it mattered. He always overreacts. 4 reasons, none of them rooted in the choice she made. None of them aligned with her past behavior. The motive didn't match the woman he knew. That's the power of this question. Liars rehearse the event, not the psychology. Ask for the psychology, and you'll watch the story collapse from the inside out. Number 3. If I ask the people involved, would their version match yours? This is the question most men underestimate, and the one most women fear. Not because it's aggressive, not because it's confrontational, but because it shatters the protective bubble every lie depends on: privacy. A lie is delicate. It survives only when it stands alone. Bring other people into the picture, and suddenly the story has to align with realities she can't control. A truthful woman doesn't flinch. She may be confused as to why you'd need outside confirmation, but she stays grounded. Her version matches the world she actually lived through. But a woman who's bending the truth, you'll see it instantly. In her eyes, in her posture, in the way her breath changes before she even speaks. You've touched the nerve she was hoping you wouldn't find. Expect immediate defensiveness. She might say, "Why are you trying to start drama?" Or, "Why don't you trust me?" These aren't answers. They're shields. A deflection is the quickest way to avoid the one thing she dreads, being held next to someone else's account. Then comes the counterattack. A woman who's hiding something will try to flip the spotlight off herself and onto you. Suddenly, you're insecure, controlling, overreacting, or making a big deal out of nothing. Notice what she's doing. She's not protecting the truth. She's protecting the lie by dismantling your confidence. Pay attention to the urgency. A liar wants the subject closed, immediately. She'll try to shut the door with phrases like, "Let's not involve other people," or "You're blowing this up," or "This is unnecessary." Translation: if anyone else talks, my story won't hold. This question exposes a psychological truth most men never see. Women who are honest stay still. Women who are lying become emotionally volatile. Their fear isn't about the event, it's about exposure. Another person's version is a mirror, and mirrors don't care about her intentions, her excuses, or the narrative she built for you. Picture this. A man asked his girlfriend about a night out that didn't add up. Her timeline was shaky, but not enough to call out. Then he asked one simple question. Would your friends say the same thing? Her reaction wasn't confusion. It was panic masked as irritation. She snapped back, threw accusations, changed the tone of the conversation. Not because he caught her in the lie, but because he threatened to bring the one thing she couldn't manipulate, another witness. You're not testing her story. You're testing her relationship with the truth. Number 4. How long have you felt this way? This is where emotional fabrication collapses. Most men think a woman lies with her words. She doesn't. A woman lies with her timeline. Because real feelings don't appear out of thin air. They have history, texture, residue. Fake feelings, on the other hand, have no origin. They're created for the convenience of the moment, and this question forces her to trace them backward into a past that doesn't exist. A woman telling the truth can walk you through her emotional journey with clarity. Maybe it wasn't pretty, maybe she didn't handle it perfectly, but the feeling has a beginning, a middle, and a progression that aligns with her behavior. A lying woman? She can't do that. She'll reach for vagueness. It's been a while. I don't remember exactly. It just built up. Listen closely. These aren't timelines. They're smoke screens. Watch for emotion-behavior mismatch. If she claims she's felt disconnected for weeks, but her behavior has been affectionate, consistent, even enthusiastic, something is off. Real emotions leak into actions. Pretend emotions don't. Then there's the story shift. The subtle adjustments she makes mid-sentence once she realizes her timeline doesn't make sense. She'll say, I started feeling this way last month. Then moments later slip into, well, maybe it was more recent. These aren't clarifications. These are repairs. Over-smoothing is another sign. A woman fabricating emotions will present her emotional history like a clean, even line. No nuance, no contradictions, no tension. But real emotional journeys are messy. They have spikes, regressions, doubts, moments where she second-guessed herself. When her emotional timeline sounds like it was ironed flat, she didn't live it. She scripted it. And pay attention to sensory memory. Women remember how emotions felt, the knot in their stomach, the late-night overthinking, the shift in the way they looked at you. Those sensations stay in the body. If she can't describe any of it, the feeling isn't real. Here's a scene that plays out more often than men realize. A man confronted his girlfriend about suddenly claiming she'd been unhappy for months. Yet in those very months, she was planning trips, initiating intimacy, sending affectionate messages, and making future commitments. When he asked, "How long have you felt this way?" she froze, not because she was scared, but because the emotion she claimed didn't have a past she could trace. She shifted her story twice, softened details, then hid behind vagueness. The timeline collapsed because the emotion wasn't lived. It was invented. That's why this question is so powerful. Real emotions leave fingerprints. Fake emotions leave patterns. Number 5. What did you think I'd say or do when you told me? This is the question that strips away the performance and exposes the intention behind it. Most men focus on the behavior, but behavior is just the surface. The real truth hides in the anticipation, what she thought your reaction would be. Because a woman who is lying doesn't just create a story, she creates a prediction. She scripts the way you're supposed to respond to keep her lie intact. A truthful woman usually pauses for a moment, not out of fear, but out of reflection. She didn't spend time rehearsing your reaction because she wasn't trying to manipulate the outcome. Her honesty wasn't dependent on controlling your emotions. But a woman who's lying, she's been rehearsing your reaction long before you even ask the question. She's already imagined what you'll say, how you'll feel, and what buttons she needs to push to keep you exactly where she wants you. So watch for irritation. A liar bristles at this question because it forces her to reveal the part of the plan she hoped you'd never notice. The calculated expectation behind the lie. She might snap, "Why does it matter?" Or, "Why are you interrogating me?" She's not defending the truth. She's defending her script. Notice the redirecting too. Instead of answering, she'll pivot the spotlight onto you, your tone, your past mistakes, your emotional reactions. Suddenly, the conversation becomes about your flaws, not her choices. This isn't coincidence. It's strategy. If she can make you feel guilty, you'll stop looking at the inconsistency in front of you. And then there's the emotional flare-up, the sudden burst of drama meant to shut you down. Tears, irritation, silence, accusations. All of it serves one purpose: to overwhelm you before you can notice the gap between what she did and what she expected you to do. Let me paint a scene. A man once asked his girlfriend why she hadn't told him she met her ex by accident at a cafe. Her story was tidy, innocent, wrapped in perfect phrasing. But when he asked, "What did you think I'd say when you told me?" everything snapped. She froze, then launched into a defensive spiral. "You always assume the worst. You would have gotten mad. I knew you'd make this a problem." But the irony was clear. He hadn't been upset until she revealed she expected him to be. She hadn't responded to his reaction. She had responded to the reaction she predicted, the one she used to justify hiding the truth. That's the core of this question. If she planned your reaction, she planned the lie. It exposes the intention she never rehearsed explaining. Number 6. Is there anything you left out that you think I should know? This is the final cut. The question that doesn't just expose the lie, but corners it. Most people don't tell full lies. They tell edited truths, versions with the sharp edges shaved off, the inconvenient details removed, the dangerous parts softened so they can keep control of the narrative. That's why this question works like nothing else. It forces her to stop defending the story and start examining it. And that moment of examination is where liars fall apart. A truthful woman answers quickly, cleanly, without emotional friction. She knows what happened, she knows what she told you, and she knows there's nothing lurking in the shadows. But a lying woman? She enters self-correction mode the second these words leave your mouth. You can watch her retreat inward, scanning the story she built, checking for holes she hopes you didn't notice. Look for the body language shift, the sudden swallow, the long blink, the shift in posture, the glance away. She isn't reacting to you, she's reacting to the possibility that she missed something. Silence is your ally here. She fears it. A liar can't tolerate stillness because stillness is where the truth catches up to her. So she fills the space. She adds small details that weren't there before. She clarifies things that didn't need clarification. These aren't signs of honesty. They're signs of patchwork. When the story grows after you ask this question, it's growing because the first version couldn't stand on its own. Hesitation is another giveaway. A woman who tells the truth may take a brief second to remember, but she won't weigh her options. A liar, on the other hand, hesitates not to recall, but to decide. She's choosing whether to double down or confess, whether to expand the lie or abandon it. And neither choice feels safe. Here's a scenario that captures it perfectly. A man confronted his girlfriend about inconsistencies in her night out. She had an answer for everything, too smooth, too polished, too protected. Then he asked, "Is there anything you left out that I should know?" She froze. Not dramatically, not defensively, but strategically. Her eyes shifted as she mentally walked back through the script she'd already delivered. Then came the additions. "Oh, I forgot to mention," followed by a detail that conveniently filled a gap he hadn't even pointed out yet. That was the moment he realized the truth wasn't missing. It was being rearranged. That's why this question is devastating. It doesn't attack the story. It attacks her confidence in the story. Lies die when you remove the escape routes. And this question closes every single one. When you strip everything down, this isn't about catching a woman in a lie. It's about taking back the space where your clarity, your standards, and your emotional stability live. Most men lose themselves in arguments, in accusations, in the chaos of trying to force the truth out of someone who's invested in hiding it. But you don't need volume. You don't need threats. You don't need to match her emotion with your own. You just need the right questions. Because the truth isn't something you drag out of someone. The truth is something people accidentally reveal when the structure around their lie collapses. And every question you learned here does exactly that. It stops the performance. It interrupts the script. It forces her to step out of emotion and into accountability. If a woman is being honest, these questions won't intimidate her. They'll ground her. They'll bring clarity into the conversation. But if she fears these questions, if she dodges them, inflates them, reacts to them instead of answering them, then you already have the answer you came for. You're not controlling her. You're controlling the frame. And that is where a man's power lives. If you found yourself seeing your own patterns here, or recognizing dynamics you've ignored for too long, it means you're finally waking up to the psychology behind the behavior. Don't lose that momentum. Subscribe to the channel so you don't slip back into the same blind spots. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. And if there's a question you've always been afraid to ask, drop it in the comments, because the truth you avoid is the truth that keeps you stuck. Walk with clarity, speak with intention, and never fear the answers that reveal who someone truly is.